morning and welcome to Rising. We have a truly stellar edition of our show planned for you today. Great that you're tuning in. Hello, Briahna.
Hello, Robby. Stellar or interstellar?
Ooh, interstellar.
Is there a UFO block coming?
The ship is landing on planet Rising, and here we go.
All right. Well, first off, former Hunter Biden business associate and close friend Devon Archer spoke to Tucker Carlson in a new interview where he again accused the Bidens of influence peddling. Here he is on those infamous speakerphone conversations.
Joe Biden, who's very much a product of Washington, of course, must have known that he was calling in to effectively a business meeting that his son was having. I mean, he must have understood that was kind of what his son was selling.
Well, it's hard for me to speculate on that.
But I guess my question, just to keep it to the facts, Joe Biden, then the sitting vice president, knew that there were Hunter's business associates in the room.
Yeah, I think I can definitively say at particular dinners or meetings, he knew there were business associates, and or if I was there, I was a business associate too. Yeah. So I think, or if, any of the other colleagues from the DC office or the New York office were there. So yeah, at times there were. From the, to be, completely clear on the calls, I don't know if it was an orchestrated call in or not. It certainly was powerful though, because, if you're sitting with a foreign business person and you hear the vice president's voice, that's prize enough. I mean, that's pretty impactful stuff for anyone in the world.
It's been reported, and I know that it is true, that the Hunter and his brother were very close to their dad.
Absolutely.
Which I think is great.
Yep.
I've got a lot of kids. I'm very close to them, talk to them every day.
Yeah.
Never called them on speaker during a business meeting. That's weird.
Later in the interview, Tucker Carlson confronted Archer with a signed letter from Joe Biden. Let's see what it said.
This is from the Vice President of the United States, Joe Biden, to you personally, and it's personalized here at the bottom. Devon Archer, Rosemont Seneca Partners, that was your partnership with Hunter Biden in Georgetown. Dear Devon, I apologize for not getting a chance to talk to you at the luncheon yesterday. I was having trouble getting away from hosting President Hu Jintang, who was running China at that point. I hope I get a chance to see you again soon with Hunter. I hope you enjoyed lunch. Thanks for coming. Sincerely, Joseph R. Biden Jr. P.S. Handwritten, happy you guys are together. So there are many levels here. But here's the Vice President of the United States saying to you, a man in his mid-30s, who's not a government official, I'm sorry I was occupied with the guy who runs the world's largest country. I would much rather talk to you, and thank you. What was he thanking you for?
Well, first of all, it's a lovely letter, and it was...
It's quite enthusiastic. It's a little weird, though, right?
Yeah, well, it was kind of the beginning of our partnership, and he was thanking me and thanking Hunter, I think, at the end of the day, for bringing this idea of this government regulatory strategic advisory business into the private equity world. And I think he was excited about the prospects for Hunter, and, he was just thanking me. I think it was a nice gesture.
All right, what did you make of this?
I mean, it just, again, gets harder and harder and harder to argue that President Biden had no knowledge of or involvement in the dealings of his son. They're very close, extraordinarily close, which is totally proper. But, this is confirmation, again, of the calling in to these business meetings. Look, it's the meeting, Hunter Biden with other people, with this guy, Devon Archer, and other people. It's a business meeting because the business is influence. The business is demonstrating to financial interests that he has this relationship with his dad, that his dad is at his beck and call, and then they hear his dad's voice in this room where they're meeting. Like, that is a business meeting.
That is what it is.
And that's what they're trying to get out of this arrangement.
I mean, honestly, Joe Biden just really dug himself in a hole by starting out years ago, by replying to these allegations, by saying, I have never spoken to my son about his overseas business dealings. Right away, that didn't pass the smell test, because that's like saying, I've never talked to my mom about work.
Right.
Like, I've literally never... I'm supposed to have this close relationship, the way that they represent, they have a close relationship with each other. They talk constantly. In the last couple of days, we've seen any number of reporters point out that they were talking even more than usual during the relevant time period because of the tragedy of his elder son's passing. But despite all of that conversation, they never once talked about work. Well, obviously that was going to get blown up. And now we're seeing not only is that facially not true, but the later representations about his involvement on those actual phone calls is being exploded by the reality that there were other people on those calls that can corroborate Joe Biden's presence. Now, we still don't have the substantive smoking gun that says that there was a scheme or that there was a bribe or that it went beyond the appearance of influence on behalf of Hunter. But having already basically lied, having already misrepresented his position to the American public, I don't know that the smoking gun is needed for people to concretize their distrust of Joe Biden and feel justified in voting for someone like Donald Trump despite all the trouble he's in.
And many in the media and many in the Democratic coalition were denying even that Hunter Biden was engaged in influence peddling, which is now so obviously clear. We like that was what the entire business was.
Yeah.
And it was always going to be. It's a danger. It can be a national security risk. It can be a policy risk to have an individual who's in a close personal relationship with the sitting vice president or president in that situation. And then you add on that it's someone like Hunter Biden who's compromised in all sorts of ways for the personal struggles with drugs and everything else. This makes it worrisome. And again, what it came down to Ukraine.
Yeah.
Which is what Donald Trump got impeached over, and which we're now, contributing to a war effort over.
Yeah.
This was always going to be improper, but this is a highly relevant country with respect to the political decisions that Joe Biden is making.
Yeah. I mean, what did you make of the part at the end where he asked, "What is Joe Biden thanking you for?"
Yeah, I think that's a very good question. And Devon Archer, what did you make of Devon Archer from watching this interview? He was he seemed like maybe he was trying to have it multiple ways here. So providing evidence that was going to satisfy the Tucker Carlson and conservatives of the thing they wanted, but also without throwing the Bidens under the bus too bad because he's still friendly with them, but also enjoying his moment in the sun, but also not, getting himself in any additional trouble.
So first of all, I think that what Biden was thanking him for was providing gainful employment for his son.
Yes.
That's what it is. It's I know that I have a troubled son. I wouldn't necessarily choose this guy as a business partner, but you're doing us a solid by making him gainfully employed. The same way Bush did him a solid by putting him on the Amtrak board. The same way the Bank of America did him a solid by hiring him right out of law school. His entire career
I agree with that
is people giving him a solid.
Yes.
Okay, now the tone, what do we make of Devon Archer? I'm not saying that I believe what he is saying about Joe Biden being on the calls, but I also think that he comes off as kind of slimy because he does seem to be wanting it both ways. He wants to say what a nice letter from Joe Biden. He knows that he's benefited from, rightly or wrongly, legally or not, the generosity of the Biden family, and now he's quite obviously throwing them under the bus. And I'm not saying that he shouldn't.
Yeah.
If there was a crime, if there was impropriety, then he should come out and talk about it. But this is going to have a backstabbing move. And there is another kind of person that would choose to continue to be allied with the Biden family and not, at very least, go and talk to someone like Tucker Carlson, who's so obviously politically disaligned with the Democratic Party at large and Biden in specifically. Again, that's not a value judgment on the journalistic merit of it or who's morally correct, but in terms of interpersonal relationships, it's a slimy move.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right, we'll continue to follow this, and we'll have more Rising in just a minute.